you must have electricity. And you will not pay for estimated bill anymore. A promise made will be a promise kept. If I don't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me.
Our journey has been one of highs and lows. We have walked, crawled, run, stumbled, and risen again. We have experienced moments of pride and moments of reflection. But above all, we have demonstrated unwavering resilience. Here in Oyo State, you have exemplified that same resilience by supporting our administration over the past 5 years as we moved from accelerated development to sustainable development with a focus on moving the people of our dear state from poverty to prosperity.
History gives us some idea of where the philosophy that all is fair in politics can lead. Consider Nigeria's first republic. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde warned against the rise of a one-party state by invoking the violent history of the 1960s, Operation Wettier, during an opposition summit in Ibadan in April 2026. Why hosting opposition leaders to push back against the shrinking political space ahead of the 2027 elections? Makinde stated, I quote, "For those who are carrying on as if there is no tomorrow, they should remember that Operation Wettier started from here, Ibadan." Makinde says this is the same wide West.
This is not defined by the success of one party. It is defined by the existence of alternatives, by the ability of citizens to choose, and by the confidence that those choices matter. Once that disappears, what we have may still be called democracy, but it will no longer function as one. That this discussion is happening here in Ibadan is not by accident. Ibadan has always served as a political capital of the Southwest and indeed Nigeria. And let me sound a note of one for those that are carrying on as if there will not be tomorrow. They should remember that Operation Wettier started from here. This is the same wild West.
Recently, the governor for Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, reminded us of Operation Wettier, and he was talking to the APC. How did you receive that statement?
For me, I think it was just, on his part, it was just a cautionary statement that politicians should not develop the Samson's option as a mentality, and that we must be mindful of our history, be mindful of the need for accommodation and adherence to the rule of law, regardless of whether you are in office or not. And I think it's, I can see that a number of people have misconstrued what he said, or maybe how he said it, or his reference to Operation Wettier. But it's also true that Operation Wettier happened in these parts. I just refer to what happened in Ondo State in 83. And what happened there in 65. I was born in the thick of Operation Wettier in Ibadan.
You were born in 1965?
Absolutely, yes. Right here in this city. So I am a child of Wettier. if you want to put it that way. So people like us are particularly passionate about ensuring that this pathway is a pathway that leads to peace and non-violence. Politics should be about a market of ideas. Put your own ideas forward. Let me put my own ideas forward. Let's put it to the people to decide.
Fortunately, our society has grown to such level where if you say vote for me, I'm no more asking what can you do? What are your antecedents? What type of character do you have? I don't ask such questions again. And of course, even if I don't vote for you, you can buy your way through. If you have the right amount of money in your hand, you can buy your way through.
How? How do they do that?
Well,
Can you buy INEC?
ask the courts.
When you say buy your way through,
Yeah, ask
you
the
buy
courts.
the voters?
Ask the courts.
You buy the voters?
Buy everything.
You buy INEC?
Everybody.
You buy police?
Everybody.
You buy the army?
Everybody. You buy them all.
So our election is about buying.
Yes, please. And that is one thing we must curb. Because if we curb it, we get the correct leadership. We don't have the correct leadership.
That last voice, you buy everything. That is the voice of a former governor of Imo State, Achike Udenwa. The ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, sharply criticized Makinde's comments on Operation Warfare, calling them reckless, dangerous, and a form of incitement to violence coming from a state chief security officer. What did Makinde say? Makinde says for those who are carrying on as if there will be no tomorrow, they should remember that Operation Warfare started from Ibadan. Makinde says that this is the same wide West. By the middle of the 1960s, the Western region had become the scene of a bitter power struggle for political control. The conflict surrounding the 1965 regional election was accompanied by allegations of electoral manipulation and intimidation. What followed in Yoruba land was a breakdown of political order. Political rivalry spilled into the streets. Homes and businesses associated with opponents were attacked. Arson became a weapon. Political gangs became part of the struggle. The violence became remembered by the expression Operation Warfare. This was no longer politics as persuasion. It was politics in which control of government had become important enough for violence to enter the political process. And the consequences traveled far beyond the politicians involved. The Western region crisis became one of the defining manifestations of the instability of Nigeria's First Republic. In January 1966, soldiers overthrew the civilian government for their irresponsibility, and that became Nigeria's first military coup. The Western region crisis was not the sole cause of that collapse, but it formed part of the atmosphere of political disorder in which military intervention became possible. That is the story that Makinde is reminding Tinubu and the APC. Renowned journalist Chief Tola Adini educates us on Operation Warfare. Here is a country, and it's a country full of history, and you are a product of history.
Yes, sir.
The governor of Oyo State in recent time reminded us of Operation Wetier.
Yes.
You heard him?
I did. And I've read commentaries about the statement from some critics.
What do you think?
In newspapers. I think it was an alert, and it came at the right time. And I think it challenges the status quo, challenges the mind of those who are lucky to be alive at that point in time, who witnessed what went here. It brings to the fore the events that led to Wete in 64, 65, 66. And that is why I think, coming at this point in time, that we are about repeating the tragedy of 64, 65, 66, that it is the right time and the right message.
What are the events of 1964-65 that led to Operation Wetier?
64-65, we had a very unpopular government in Western region. We had a government that came by the way of the machinations of the federal government. The federal government was using its might to suppress the popular opinion, the popular tide. And it wanted at that point in time to even use the police and the military to suppress and oppress the citizenry of Western region. Ibadan, as a city, is not known to be subservient. Ibadan, in their history, had never been conquered by anybody. And so when any institution tries to suppress, oppress, impose anything on Ibadan political centrality, the place would explode, and that was what happened. So the NNDP, Nigeria's Democratic, something like that, it was a party formed by Akintola in association or in conjunction with the NCNC after they broke away from Action Group. And they called themselves NNDP, Demo, whatever. The Yoruba called them Demo. And they, even within themselves, imposed unpopular candidates. And they wanted to go ahead. There was no competition. They just wanted to take the whole thing. I mean, every town, every local government, it wanted to be so dominant and kill the either to ruling party, which now turned into opposition. That's the Action Group, which at that time has also joined Okpara's NCNC to form OPGA. And the Yoruba people will not let it go.
By this time, Awolowo was in prison.
Awolowo was in prison, and the Yoruba they felt wounded that Awolowo, from 1959 federal elections, had been given a very rough time by the dominant party, by the federal government.
Led by Tafawa Balewa.
But Tafawa Balewa was just a puppet, led by Ahmed Bello, who was the chairman of the party.
Then the premier of the northern region.
So it was putting an insult on injury, and the Yoruba felt no. And what they then did, and then they showed the elections. I mean, the electoral process was so flawed, and they even boasted that whether you vote for us or you don't vote for us, we continue to rule. The electoral umpire was also the federal government. I mean, the electoral umpire, the judiciary, the military, the police, they were all in the hands of the federal government.